Welcome back. This is Stocks to Watch, and today we are privileged to be diving into Realbotix Corp, AI-powered robots for companionship, entertainment, and customer services, trading on the TSXV under XBOT and the OTC under XBOTF. We're privileged again to be joined by Andrew Kiguel, the Executive Chairman and CEO, joining. But first and foremost, welcome, sir.
Thanks, Kyle. Good to see you.
You as well. And I think this is one of the most interesting conversations going into 2026, with obviously AI robots still being the forefront of conversation in the markets. And I mean, last year, Realbotix was highly visible at major consumer electronics and technology events. And at CES 2026, you showcase an expanded lineup of AI-powered humanoid robots, including your flagship Aria and several new models. Do you want to talk a little bit about the robots, the features, and what makes them more unique, perhaps, to what's currently, the current robots that are a little bit more, I wouldn't say practical in the real world compared to what you guys are working on?
Yeah, sure. So this year we had 4 robots that were being showcased, 3 full-sized, and then our vision system. We introduced our new male robot named David. That was interesting. And what we did with each robot is each one had a different personality. So physically different voices, different AI personalities. So that's always very unique. My observations from CES were this, and obviously we spent time, we walk around. All of the other robot companies that I found were based in Asia. We were the only American-made robotics company that had a booth. All the other robot companies had robots that had sort of a human shape, but were metallic or plastic, no facial expressions. The other robot companies had robots that needed a lot of charging to do sort of what I would call, it was almost like a theatrical skit. So some dancing and chops and backflips. Some of them were boxing, which is totally cool. But I always walk away from those and say that it's amazing technology, but what do you use it for in the practical world? And I continue to scratch my head around that and think about how different we are in creating robots that I think have real use cases today.
Now, I just want to talk about the attendees at this event. Do you want to talk a little bit about the reactions on the show floor and just maybe the reactions across the board?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Yeah, people are amazed. They found us to be quite refreshing again from all these sort of cyborg metallic robots that were out there, because our robots look incredibly human, human-like skin, facial expressions, and voices. And we were the only group there that had a robot, again, from 9 a.m. open till 6 o'clock close, that you could interact with all day. So our robots, the ones that we had there, were plugged into a normal electrical socket, and so they could work all day without a recharge, and people could just come up, take pictures, talk to them. We had the robots talking to each other, to people, and we did that in various languages. In fact, we would test people out and be like, if you have a language that you think is a little less common, test it out on the robot, see if the robot knows. And it was, 100 for 100 in terms of languages. Like it knows every language, which is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't mind diving a little bit more deeper into what you mentioned with like the facial expression, dynamics, conversational intelligence. When you saw those other robots that are more, dancing, choppy, kind of doing more of the theatrical stuff, I mean, did you see a lot of competitors kind of matching the level of like human facial interaction, stuff like that you guys are integrating?
No, nobody. It's incredibly difficult to have a robot that has facial expressions and whose lips move according to what it is saying. I think people underestimate the difficulty of that. Now, you might see that at an animatronics show in Disneyland, where it's just the same repetitive thing being said over and over again. But to be able to do that on the fly with any word and any language is really great technology that we've developed. So yeah, the facial features are definitely something that gets a lot of people's attention. Like, we constantly had crowds and people sort of trying to take pictures of what we were doing. So that's always quite rewarding to just see the surprise and the excitement. Like, so many people coming up to us and being like, this is wild, congratulations. This is like the best booth at the show.
So compared with other humanoid robot companies you saw at CES 2026, how is Realbotix technology fundamentally different, and why did you choose this particular technology approach as the foundation for your robots and the company's long-term kind of competitive position?
Yeah. So we're trying to design robots that are useful today, either to corporations, healthcare sector, or even in people's homes. And that's not necessarily for physical labor, but for what I would call sort of intellectual, emotional, or customer service type support. But one of the key things we unveiled this year at CES was the vision system. And again, if you're to do a compare and contrast between us and pretty much every other robot company in the world, because I've never seen anybody actually demonstrate this, and now we have several videos online, but you could walk up to a robot, stand in front of it, it will make eye contact with you, it will move its gaze with you, not just its eyeballs, but turn its head. So in a very human way, it's the eyes followed by the head, and it can describe what it is seeing, and it can actually look for cues. So is Kyle happy, sad, angry, and use the AI brain in the background to interpret what it's seeing. Is there a dangerous situation? Is there something that requires my assistance? Or how can I use my AI to get involved with what I'm seeing? So it's more than observational. It's actually a visual brain. Now, why that is so important is if you think about these robots that are out there, the walking robots, they don't have vision. They're all remote controlled by humans. It actually creates a pretty big hazard if you have a 150-pound thing sort of flailing its arms and moving around in a public area. Without vision, you can never have true robotic autonomy. And most of these robots, again, they're controlled by joysticks or pads or different things. We don't do that. In fact, you can see a lot of the interviews from CES. We just hand over the robot's microphone over to a reporter or an attendee and let them just have a conversation with the robot. We have no idea what the robot's saying or going to say, but we trust our AI that much that it is able to carry on a conversation and visually interpret what it's seeing, which again, I've not seen any other company in the world have embedded AI in a robot with AI vision.
Yeah, I think this is truly incredible, and we'll pass it off to the viewers. If you'd like to learn more, of course, we're going to leave all the links in the description below. Consider commenting, letting us know what you think, and subscribing as news and catalysts like this come down the wire. Of course, we'll bring updates to you here. But on that, as always, we appreciate Andrew taking the time, and we look forward to catching you in the next one.
Thank you.